Hi everybody. So today we're doing a review of the first three issues that were released with the Imperium. That's the magazine subscription that Warhammer is proposing us. The reason why I'm doing this review is basically because I got an email saying that the shipment of the next four issues, that is issue 4, 5, 6, and 7, are delayed for another 2 weeks. So because of that, I decided to do this review and offer maybe some information to help you guys to paint faster and not completely better, but at least to save some time. So if you're using those magazine subscription as a way to learn about a Warhammer and start painting miniature, I'll give you some hints that I learned by painting of what I believe could be decent and useful techniques. So the first thing we'll check is, as you can see, I got my miniature painted, except this one. I just didn't do it yet. So what they're proposing us in those issues is to use the starter brush that they offered us with the base coat of each faction and do the first layer. So pretty much I'll just try to focus, just doing a quick base on them and not painting the weapon because we're going to get more paint later on to do those parts. So it's just a quick cover. And pretty much the same thing for the Necrons. Just do the base, and from there, trying to get my focus with the camera, just do the base, skip the weapons, and a few details here and there. The problem with this, it's pretty nice. The paint that they're offering is good enough to do whatever we need to do, and we actually can do a lot of painting with this. The problem comes with the brush they are offering. This brush is really, really small. So I'm trying to see if I can get a focus on this. It's going to be hard. There we go. So you can see how small this is to do a base coat. When I'm doing a base coat, I actually use a really bigger paintbrush for that, because we have to do up to 3 layers at a time, and for a lot of surface, such a small brush is not that great. Doing a base and doing the details with the base with a small brush like this is kind of nice, because you can go really in smaller places and do the paint. But when you're doing a quick coat like this, where they're not asking any details or any, how can I say that, any tedious little painting, I would use a way bigger size brush. But those brush are really, really cheap. You don't need a complete kit of really high cost paintbrush. You can just go to a dollar store, I'm going to show you, and buy really basic bags like those that cost like $2, and you got pretty much everything that you need. You can do dry brush with those easily, and you usually got brush that are really good to do a quick base when it's just to do a quick cover and basically skip the whole thing. So that's a cost efficient way to do it, and time efficient, because with this, if I had to paint all of those with this small brush that Games Workshop was offering, I would be there for at least 3 hours for nearly just one of them, just doing the code, the 3 codes that I need to do, or the 2 codes that I need to do for all those details. So going with this will cut the time maybe at 30 minutes or something like that. But if money is not a problem, here is what I offer. So we got the Rune Lord for the Necrons and the Macragge Blue for the Space Marine. Well, you can buy the spray cans for those specific colors, and the only thing you need to do, it's either to get a stand, like I said, if it's a question about money, you can buy one of those stands, or you can use anything with some blue glue or just a piece of tape and just pop your miniature over it and you're good to go. See? So it's really, really simple, and it basically takes 10 seconds to do a coat on it. And usually with a spray can, if you're going outside or in a space where there's no chance of overspray, you basically do it under 10 seconds. Then you got the whole thing done within 5 minutes and you let them dry. Of course, the big difference is those weapons that they are asking to leave without a color will be painted later. But the thing is this, those will be base coated. So it's not a layer that's going to go over it. They're going to ask you to put a base of a different colors. So if it's painted blue, you can still use that base and go over it. So you're saving time. So some people will buy airbrush, some people will use the rattle cans, and this will make building an army really faster and a lot less tedious. Because I'm telling you, the first time I painted a miniature, and if I remember when I was starting with my towel, it would take me about 3 hours to do one of those, no highlights, just with a paintbrush and painting the white, painting the blue, doing those small details. And after 2-3 of them over a week or so, I was tired. I was fed up of doing it. Then I bought a rattle can of Corax white, and then I just prime it white, and I could just use a bit of blue and just do those layers over it. So basically I cut my time from 3 hours to 30 minutes. So this is how you do not lose that drive of painting and still enjoying yourself. We don't have all day to paint, and usually we're limited in time. So beside if it's your job or you're a YouTuber or somebody like that, yeah, of course, take your time, do it. It's kind of fun to watch. But when you actually got a job, a family, or basically you want to get prepared for a game, somebody's invited you over. Let's say you got a pack of Battle Sisters and you want to start. Well, you want them to be built as fast as possible to be able to play with them. So then you get pretty much a can of Chaos Black, some Corn Red, and from there you paint your Battle Sisters, right? As long as they got an helmet, you don't need to do a skin. So super fast, super easy, then you're good to play. So those are pretty much my little tidbits to help you out to paint quickly, and how these 3 issues may turn off some people. Because if we got a new player and somebody new that never painted miniature before, and they get this with a bottle, and they're being asked to do a base coat on those for 6 hours, I don't believe those people will keep painting, because after a while you get fed up of painting. It's not fun. You want to keep that fun within it. And like I said, I would have, if I was Warhammer or Games Workshop, I would have offered a way bigger brush, but they didn't offer it. So yeah. So beside that, a little tidbit or a little side note for me, and they don't really explain that, but I would suggest either a palette just to put your paint. But the thing is this, if you put your paint inside of this and you start painting, and within a minute it's drying down, that means your air around you is too dry and your paint is drying. You're gonna lose a lot of paint. And a bottle like this that could do a pretty good size army will actually just cover a few of them, and you'll start to get what I call a dryness. If I can have an example, you'll start to get dryness around the edge like this. So if I open this is completely caked from paint, and that's pretty much just because the air is so dry in my house that I can't paint without the whole thing to dry within a few minutes. So at the beginning I was getting pissed at the fact that every time I take some paint and started painting, I realized the droplet was already drying and I was using a lot of paint. So what I did, I went online, bought the cheapest wet palette that I could find. And from there, there's a sponge at the bottom of a wet palette. And you basically put a parchment paper over it. And this breathes the water through it without letting the paint through it. So you can keep it wet as long as possible. So this is really fun. So as long you keep it wet, and as soon as you feel it's starting to dry, you add more water to the side to really bring back some humidity inside of it. You'll be good to go for hours and hours. And as you can see, I'm using that a lot. A lot of my job I cover with this. And as you can see, I always find a little spot somewhere when I can keep putting and adding more paint. And I still got all the bottom that's available to me. So I still can do maybe another 10 models with this. So before having to change that parchment paper. So this will make a more cost-efficient way of painting. And it's going to make the job more fun. Because if you have to use those small brush to paint for 3 hours, and every 2 minutes you have to go back in the pot, take back some paint, started painting, it dries on the brush, it dries inside of the palette, then it's getting tedious and you'll start to hate painting. And I don't want that. It's actually a really, really fun hobby. And the fact that you can use them on the board game after, or even if it's just for a collection, it's amazing. It's something that really relieves a lot of stress. And as you can see, I'm way over my head with all the back line of stuff that I have to do. But yeah, take that into account, that depending what you want to do and how much money you got, if your goal is to minimize your costs, go to a dollar store, buy a bigger set of brush. There's going to be a pack. Just buy that pack and you'll get plenty of brush. And you don't care at that point if he breaks it, because Games Workshop sells them those brush for really a high price. And I don't believe they're that much worth it. The paintbrush can do everything. And having the right tool will make a big difference on the way that you're enjoying your hobby. If you got a bit more money, it's more a question of time, then I would go with the rattle cans, right? And from there, the wet palette, if you need to do some details, highlights, and stuff like that. So it's up to you guys. Some people will use the, as you can see, wait a second, I'm going to show you guys. So basically, some people will use a lot of Citadel paint. I really enjoy them, but usually what I do, I try to find bundles from people and buy a bulk of it, of people either quitting or just switching to Vallejo or other companies. But you can do this too. You can go to any store, any Walmart or stuff like that, and you can actually buy a kit of cheap paintbrush with a kit. This costs about $20, and you got plenty. The only thing, those paint are really, really thick, and you'll need to water them down. So if you take a bit of it, you put it in the wet palette, you'll still need to add a bit of water inside of it to dilute a bit of that paint and actually make it useful. So if you're somebody that's a bit short on cash, there is always options. And if you look at my first video on how I started painting miniature, you will see my first jobs that we're doing with this, and you'll realize it's actually not that bad. Of course, the Vallejo, the Army Painter, the Citadel paint is ready to go to be painted from the pot. So, really up to you again. It really depends on the level of skill that we want to imply. But like I'm telling you, if you look at YouTubers that makes really beautiful job, usually they got paintbrush, they got what we call a medium. A medium is a way to dilute the paint, even from Citadel, and keep all those pigments equally available through the paint and really make it lighter. So they'll do some really light layers and over again. Those people are doing sometimes 10 to 30 layers to make those transition of colors in between them. And it takes a lot of time. So pretty much all of them will use a hair dryer to help them out to go faster. So even professional finds way to step up the painting procedure to keep enjoying what they're doing and being able to put a lot more time inside of the detail. If the base take you 5 seconds, then you got 2 hours to just nitpick on those details and then do those highlight and dry brush. It will makes a big difference. And sometimes I believe some people don't tell that. Everybody can achieve a really high level of beautiful paint job in the condition that they got the tools for it. So I know it feels maybe not really super informative, but I do believe that some people are starting Warhammer with those magazine, the like Mortal Realm, Conquest magazine, and subscription like that. So just don't get caught and lose patience, because I do believe that everybody has the chance to do a really beautiful job if they know exactly what to do to skip sometimes. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope to get those second release of magazines soon enough to keep going from where we're going, and at the same time I'll keep following what they're asking in the magazine. So I'm gonna paint this one McCrae blue and leave those weapon gray, and I'll follow the rules that they're, or the steps that are saying in the magazine, to see if actually we get really proper paint job out of it. And after that, I'll be able to actually tell people, well, they're giving us procedure, but we're not really getting a beautiful job at the end. And I'll try to help out people to figure out what they could do to spice up a bit their miniature. So on this, I hope you guys enjoy this, and we'll see you guys around on the next release of those magazines that are magazine 4, 5, 6, and 7. So hope to see you guys around.